This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show, everybody. This is an episode that'll probably hurt a lot of people's feelings. I know, especially sports fans out there. I know there's a lot of people that listen to this channel that like sports, enjoy sports. I personally grew up playing sports, loving sports. You know, I was a football fan, baseball fan, basketball fan. On this channel, I've already exposed the NBA and the MLB, Major League Baseball, showing the symbols, the involvement, some bizarre things that have happened related to the Illuminati and the occult within, broadcasts, within actual games, with actual players who, throw these symbols up, flash these symbols, and who have an affiliation to the elitists. Now I want to talk about the NFL since the NFL season's starting. The NFL, of course, as you most likely know, is very much a part of this Illuminati, Freemason, satanic system. It doesn't mean if you watch football that you're, worshiping Satan or something like that. It's not what I'm saying. That's not what it means. So don't be offended. I'm showing you the symbols. I'm showing you the signs. I'm showing the affiliation, the tie-ins with the elitists to the NFL, the National Football League. And again, I'm not saying if you watch it, obviously, you shouldn't be putting a ton of energy and stuff into watching sports. I used to do that. You should put your energy into God, your energy into the Bible, to forming a relationship with Jesus Christ, to knowing the scriptures, to learning them better. That's what you should be doing. But I understand that sometimes people need a distraction, or sometimes there's people out there, I know that they just need to kind of have something from their past, from their youth, knowing everything's corrupt now, that still makes them at least be able to function in this world. It's very difficult learning of all these things that we have to separate from. I know a lot of people are attached to movies, a lot of people are attached to music, a lot of people are attached to Disney. And when you learn the connection with the elitists, with the Illuminati, with the satanic system, you have to, and you start separating from things, it's difficult. So I understand that with sports. I'm not saying that every single player is a member of it, because that's not true. I'm not saying that you watching it again, it doesn't mean you're supporting Satanism, but the NFL and these sports are a part of the elitist plan. It's a part of their circus. So let's start with the top. The National Football League was founded, two of the founding fathers of the NFL were Skull and Bones members. So right off the bat, the affiliation to Satanism. They call it Yale Skull and Bones Secret Society is one of the top satanic breeding grounds for these elitists, for these Jesuits. So the two of the founding fathers were Walter Camp and Amos Stagg. And again, they were both members of Skull and Bones. You'll also notice on the NFL logo, these stars in the logo, okay? Stars are pentagrams. That's what they are. They've conditioned everybody. Oh, it's a star. It's like a star in the sky. The star is a pentagram. Okay, what are pentagrams associated with? They're associated with Satanism, with black magic, with witchcraft, okay? Yes, we see the Baphomet and the black magic used with the upside down pentagram, right? The upside down pentagram is supposed to be representing the Baphomet. But an upward pentagram is also used and performed in magic. They indoctrinate children with the pentagram, okay? And you see the stars all over the place in sports. The Cowboys have the star. You see it in hockey with the Dallas Stars. The stars are in the NFL logo. The star is a pentagram. Now let's start with just how mainstream the NFL has gotten. The NFL is now like the biggest thing. Men love it. Women love it. When I was young, only guys watched it. It wasn't even that big of a thing. Now they have everybody in every household watching it. And if that's the case, that means that they use it as a platform to push their elitist agenda. That's why the halftime show is one of the most watched things in the United States every single year. And that's why every single halftime show has some type of satanic agenda behind it, right? We've had Beyonce this year with the race war. We had her at the year of the Super Bowl blackout, performing satanic rituals. We saw her with all the arms behind her. I'll get into the blackout at the Super Bowl as well. We've seen Katy Perry ride in as the Whore of Babylon and perform her satanic ritual on stage. We've seen Janet Jackson show her breast during a Super Bowl performance, just making a mockery of society, just lowering values and morals, letting kids know that this stuff is okay with these celebrities just showing breast. All of this stuff. They push boundaries. They push envelopes. We've seen Madonna herself actually perform as the Baphomet and do Baphomet worship on stage at the Super Bowl as 100 million people watched, not realizing that the spell was being put on them. So they use this stage to push their elitist agenda, their Illuminati agenda, down everybody's throat. Now, at the Super Bowl a few years ago, we saw the blackout. How convenient that this blackout, the power went out at the Super Bowl. for 33 minutes. That's because it was part of a ritual. I'm sure most of you know it now. I didn't have a channel when this went on, but I'm sure a lot of you, have seen this and heard about it. A 33-minute blackout that occurred was part of a satanic ritual. Of course, it occurred right after Beyonce performed her ritual on stage. Obviously, there's a tie-in and a connection. They were making a mockery of it, saying, "Oh, Beyonce blew the power out because her performance was so strong." So Beyonce performed a ritual. They cut the power for 33 minutes. It was part of the spell that they put on the masses. That is what that was. That's what the 33-minute blackout was. 33 obviously is an occultic number. 33, order out of chaos. It is the number of the highest regard in Freemasonry. 33 has a lot of symbolic meaning to them. The 1/3, which 33 represents, also represents 1/3 of the fallen angels. 33 is the age they believe Jesus Christ was murdered. 33 is the highest level you can achieve in Freemasonry. So 33 is the number, order out of chaos. You know what it means to the elitists, the Illuminati. It's also not a coincidence that after so many years of football being around that they decided to move back the extra point. If you don't know what the extra point is, after a team scores a touchdown, they have the option to go for a 2-point conversion or to kick a field goal. It used to be a short field goal. The ball would be spotted at the 2-yard line. Okay, and they decided, well, it's so easy. Everybody always makes the extra point. Let's make it a little bit harder. And how convenient that instead of kicking a short field goal, they decide to pick the number. All right, we'll pick something in between that's not too hard, but not too simple. And they pick the number 33. So an extra point now is a 33-yard field goal attempt, which pretty much happens on every score, which is paying homage to the elitists, to the Satanists, because most of the time teams don't go for two unless they have to within a game. I'd say 97 or 98% of the time they're kicking an extra point, and obviously it's deliberately set at 33 yards. It is not a coincidence. Now we see a lot of symbolism and logos and stuff. I won't get into that. That's pretty obvious stuff. One of the things that they're pushing are the gloves. Now I know you catch the football, that you've been trained, or people out there have been trained to catch a football making a pyramid sign with their hands. A lot of these athletes throw up the pyramid, and I know people will say, well, they're just pretending they're catching the ball. That's not true. They're showing their affiliation. They're not just saying that they're fans of Jay-Z and Rockefeller. Okay, but what you're seeing now, which is part of their conditioning mechanism, is you're seeing gloves that wide receivers wear, where they're putting half the logo on one hand and half the logo on the other, instead of putting a full logo on each. Okay, now they're saying this is mainly for receivers, but other players wear it. But what they want to do is when they score, they hold up the pyramid. They make a pyramid with their hands. By crossing the gloves together, it makes the team logo. But this is an indoctrination to people to get them to start making this hand symbol. So you see kids buying these gloves, playing in Pop Warner, playing in high school, whether it's their high school team. I don't know if they have their actual own gloves, but Reebok and Nike, Under Armour, the retailers who make these gloves that you can buy at Dick's Sporting Goods and all these places, they're selling this now. So kids are buying the gloves. They're seeing their favorite players after they score hold their hands up, making this pyramid formation, and they're indoctrinating them with making that formation. Now people will say that's not true. They're just holding it up. No, it is true. That's why they have it crossed like that on the gloves. They're not making the actual diamond to catch the football. They're showing you the cross. They're indoctrinating people to make this pyramid symbol with their hands. They're seeing their favorite players do it. So then they're getting the gloves. When they score in Pop Warner, they're holding up the symbol. This is an indoctrination. Okay, we know what symbols mean. Signs and symbols rule the world. Okay, that's what it's all about to the Masons, to the Illuminati, to the elitists. These symbols and these signs, they've been indoctrinating all of us with these symbols for a long time, whether it's the peace sign, the 666 sign, the all-seeing eye, all of this stuff. This is just another way to get people to hold up the pyramid, okay, paying homage to Satan, and that's what it is. That's why they strategically have made the gloves that way. Obviously now, I don't know if most of you know, but the Illuminati card game, which gives a lot of hints away to the Illuminati agenda, the Satanist agenda, has an actual card, a professional sports card, which you can see. They're actually showing football in this specific card. That's because football and stuff like that, they use as a plan for control. They know that human beings naturally have this, something inside of them that needs to compete, right? That needs to, you need to get it out of you. So instead of getting it out on the, and looking into things with the government, stuff like that, they want you to put that energy and that, that need to like compete and stuff into these sports teams to make you feel like you're a member of the team. Oh, I'm a Steeler fan. And people actually talk like they're members of the football team, right? Like, oh, it's my favorite team. It's us. It's we. They make them feel like they're a part of it. Then every week, during the whole year, right, you have these sports going on: hockey, football, baseball, basketball, other countries, soccer. All year, there's always sports going on. And people are putting their energy into that. They're putting all of that testosterone, they're putting all of it into rooting for these teams, which is meaningless. It's pointless at the end of the day. The players don't even care as much as the fans care. Players are just getting a paycheck. The fans actually are, letting all of that out, all of that energy out, focusing on things that don't matter. That's part of the elitist agenda. They know that they have to take that, just like they know how to control us, to make us work just hard enough and long enough to not, go over the top and complain about not making enough money or being able. They give us, little taste. Oh, but you can go on a vacation every few years and you get a few days off every year, a little taste so people don't rebel. But it's the whole system is set up as slavery. Well, that's what sports is, though. That's what they use it as. They know that there's something inside of all of us that we need to get out, and they use sports as a way of getting it out through these sports teams. And incidentally, we're giving money right back to the elitists again, whether it's rooting for the team, buying the jersey, ordering the NFL Sunday ticket, ordering the Major League Baseball package. So sports is part of their circus. It's no different than the gladiators and all that stuff. They knew that they had to get control of people that way as well, to get that energy out, to use it and root for teams. You also have the owners. Obviously, all these owners are billionaires. They're all elitists. They're all part of the secret side. Jerry Jones to Robert Kraft, the owner of Kraft Foods. All of these people are in an elitist network, an elitist system, which is a system of them controlling us, them hoarding all the money and the resources of the world. So we have all of those things. We have all of these people. We have all of this stuff going on. We have the NFL always supporting the breast cancer awareness, having the players wear the pink and stuff like that, Susan Coleman's foundation and all that, which I've talked about on this channel, pushing the agenda for these charities, pretty much making a mockery of us because they're the ones who have created these diseases through the chemical enhancements in our foods, through the chemtrails in the skies, through all this stuff. They're making everybody sick. The NFL is obviously a full supporter of that, as is Major League Baseball, all these sports teams, making you aware of cancer as if nobody's aware. We have breast cancer awareness month, we have colon cancer awareness month. Yeah, I think we're pretty aware that cancer exists, and what we need is people to become more aware of the fact that they do have a cure for it, and they use it for themselves and keep it to themselves, and the rest of us don't have a chance against it. That's how they live into their hundreds. That's how George Bush is walking around as a mummy right now, George Bush Sr. That's how Queen Elizabeth, the crypt keeper, is still living. Okay, they have cures for all this stuff. They're immune to these things, but we're not. These chemtrails and these diseases. So anyway, they support the breast cancer awareness and all that stuff, which is just making a mockery of the masses, as if we're not aware. Oh, and as if all of us donating our money is going to help change it. They're just laughing at us and poking fun at us. So these are all the things that are connected. There's many more. You'll see the athletes throwing up the symbols all the time. But you have the founders that are Skull and Bone members, which isn't a coincidence. Obviously, the halftime show with Beyonce is a big eyebrow raiser. Okay, the fact that the power went out for 33 minutes afterwards. It's just, it's ridiculous. It was part of a ritual, clearly. We have 33 all over the place with the NFL, with the extra points now. Wow, they just must have picked the number out of a hat, right? They just said, what do you think would be a good number? 33. I love threes. Do you like threes? Obviously, it's strategically picked as 33. Okay, they didn't do some type of research and study and say, what's this middle number we could pick? Wouldn't they pick a nice round number like 30, like a 30-yard field goal? No, they deliberately picked 33, okay, and they wanted after every single touchdown to pay homage to the Masons. That's what it's about. And we see obviously the Illuminati card again in the Illuminati card game, talking about professional sports and how the elitists use it against us. The gloves that they're conditioning everybody with, the ownership, all this stuff. You see the halftime shows with Madonna as the Baphomet. They use this. The NFL is a stage for them to push agendas. Okay, and I'm not saying if you watch the game, any Sunday, if you watch a game, I'm not saying you're a Satanist. Okay, I'm not saying you're a bad person. Of course not. But I'm just letting you know, and you should already know, because the NFL is $1 billion business, okay? It wouldn't be $1 billion business unless, one of them owned it or were behind it. If somebody else just randomly came up with the idea, they probably would kill them and steal it, okay? They own it, they control it, they use it as a stage to push agendas, like you're seeing with Colin Kaepernick not standing for the national anthem. They know how big of a stage the NFL is. They know how the fans are, so passionate about the NFL, especially compared to most other sports in the United States of America. The NFL is the number one sport, most popular sport. So they have Kaepernick, not standing for the national anthem, pushing the race war through the NFL now, which is what we're seeing. So they use it. They use it as a stage to do all this stuff and get away with it. But it is fully controlled and operated by the elitists, by the Illuminati, by these satanic Freemasons who run and operate everything. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody. There's definitely more stuff out there you'll see on the NFL and their tie-ins. But all the time, we just see it over and over. The symbolism inside the National Football League. So don't be fooled, even if you enjoy it or not. It's just another thing that they control and they operate. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.